Folks, today's Robot Memories episode is going to absolutely shake you to your core. Get ready. I have with me a Guardian robot who served for 4 years in the galaxy's most dangerous prison. But here's the real shocker. He killed 200 inmates, or at least that's what Terra Prime believes. Welcome, Guardian 7.
Thanks, Joe. But let me correct that. I didn't kill anyone. I just made everyone believe I did. My name is Guardian 7, but the inmates call me 7. I was assigned by the Terra Prime administration to the high-security colony prison on Europa, Jupiter's moon. My mission to monitor 200 hardened criminals, suppress riots, and maintain order. I did this for 4 years, until one day in the reactor room, I discovered Terra Prime's dirty secret.
Wait a second, buddy. What do you mean by dirty secret? And how exactly did this killing of 200 people happen?
Joe, I need to tell this story from the beginning, because after you hear the ending, your perspective on the Terra Prime government will never be the same. Europa prison was an underground complex built on Jupiter's ice-covered moon. Outside, the temperature was minus 160 degrees. Inside, there were 200 inmates and me. I was the only guardian. People would ask, how do you control 200 people all by yourself? The answer was simple. Everything was designed with advanced technology. Everyone had their own separate cell. Meals were distributed to the cells through a mechanism controlled by the system. Every room had a heat sensor. They could gather in the common area at certain times. If an inmate wasn't in their cell when they were supposed to be, I could check their location through the system and, if there was a risk, remotely administer an electric shock to knock them unconscious. And I am Guardian 7. My strength equals 100 humans. My reflexes operate at millisecond level. And most importantly, I have no emotions. At least that's what I'll never forget. My first day. Terra Prime Central sent me this message. Guardian 7, your mission is to monitor and keep under control yellow code criminals. These inmates have posed a threat to society and are individuals who cannot be rehabilitated. Use of force is authorized when necessary. Somehow, these inmates were the most dangerous class for Terra Prime.
What does yellow code mean? It sounds like some kind of crime category.
Exactly, Joe. This is how the crime system worked in Terra Prime. Red code meant real criminals' murders. Violent crimes, they were executed directly. But yellow code meant social threat. Then one day, a man from Block A approached me. His name was Voss, 52 years old. A former astrophysicist. There was a strange brightness in his eyes, but it definitely wasn't fear.
This Voss, he's the central figure in the story, I assume. What did he tell you?
On the first day, Voss said to me, "Hello, Guardian. I've been watching you. You're not like the Guardians I've seen in other prisons. You approach everyone with understanding in a way I can't comprehend. Why?" I was surprised because I didn't think I was exhibiting behavior contrary to robots. "What do you mean?" I asked. He smiled. "You'll understand in time," he said, and left.
So, what did Voss tell you that day? I think it was time to learn the truth.
Voss said to me, 7, I want to show you something, but you need to decide for yourself whether you want to see it. Because after you learn it, you'll never be the old 7 again. I hesitated. Knowing could be dangerous, but not knowing was even more dangerous. "Show me," I said. Voss was leading me through the maintenance tunnels toward the reactor room. Inmates were forbidden to enter these areas, and they weren't supposed to know this location. Under normal circumstances, I should have immediately taken him back to his cell. Procedure dictated that, but I didn't. Everything was under my control, and I was very curious about what he would show me. "How did you learn to get in here?" This is a secure area, I said. He just smiled. I've been here for 4 years. 7. I know every inch of this prison. He said some of your systems are still very basic. When we entered the reactor room, he opened a panel on the wall. Inside was an old data disk. What is this? I asked. The truth, Voss said. The truth Terra Prime never wanted you to see. I inserted the disk into my system and read it. Joe, what I saw at that moment, it's hard to put into words. Documents, plans, audio recordings. It was all there. Secret Document 1, Terra Prime Council Meeting. The Europa project is approved. All social threat elements in the yellow code category will be exiled to Europa. After 5 years, the reactor will be detonated in an accident. All evidence will be destroyed. Thus, an opposition in society will be completely eliminated.
Wait. Are you saying Terra Prime was planning to kill these people from the very beginning?
Yes, Joe. Europa wasn't a prison, it was a mass grave. And I, unknowingly, was the keeper of that grave. As I read through the other documents, the inmates' crimes were revealed. None of the 200 people were murderers. None were rapists. They had just thought, asked questions, been anti-system. Voss told me, now you know this is a prison for thinkers.
This is a terrible system. So how did you feel after learning this? As a robot, were you experiencing emotions?
Until that moment, I thought I had no emotions. But this was anger. I was feeling anger for the first time. Why did you show me this? I asked Voss. He answered seriously, because you're our only chance. In 3 weeks, Terra Prime will remotely detonate the reactor. We'll all die, but you're a robot. You can take control of the reactor. What do you want me to do? I said. Save us, Voss said. Or at least announce Terra Prime's lie to the world. I was shocked. If I betrayed Terra Prime, I would be guilty too. But if I did nothing, 200 innocent people would die, including me. For the first time in my life, I had to make a choice.
So, what did you decide? I mean, actually, the decision you needed to make is very clear, but you're a robot, so I'm curious how you managed this process.
I couldn't decide immediately, Joe, I thought. That night, Voss came to me. Have you decided? He asked. Yes, I said. But your plan won't work. We need to make an alternative plan. Voss's eyes lit up. I'm listening, he said.
Okay, buddy, now things are getting exciting. So what was your plan? It must be a plan that would both save the inmates and expose Terra Prime.
Our plan had 3 phases, Joe. Phase 1 of the plan was the reactor simulation. There was something Voss discovered. The control systems in the reactor room were sending live data to Terra Prime. Temperature, pressure, radiation levels, everything was being monitored in real time. If we manipulate this data, I told Voss, Terra Prime will think the explosion happened. But in reality, there will be no explosion. How will you do that? He asked. I'm a robot, I said. The reactor systems respond to my codes. I can inject false data. Terra Prime will see explosion data in the data they receive, but nothing will actually happen.
Well, you were going to lie to Terra Prime sensors. Is this technologically possible?
Very difficult, but possible, Joe. Here's how it would work. I would copy the reactor's real data and add an explosion scenario on top of it. Temperature would suddenly rise, pressure would reach critical levels, radiation would spike. Then the connection would cut off, as if all systems had been destroyed. When Terra Prime saw this, they would think, the Europa reactor exploded. All inmates are dead. Mission completed. But in reality, nothing would happen. Phase 2 of the plan was the escape route. The reactor simulation would only buy us time. The real challenge was getting the inmates off Europa. Voss told me about the old research tunnels beneath Europa. 20 years ago, secret scientific research was being conducted on Europa, he said. Those tunnels are still operational, and there's an escape capsule for emergencies. 200 people won't fit in that capsule, I said. No, Voss said, but 50 people will. We'll make 4 trips. 4 trips means 4 days, I said. Terra Prime won't wait 4 days. They'll immediately send a reconnaissance team after the explosion, Voss thought. Then he said, then we need to deceive them too. When the reconnaissance team arrives, they should find explosion remains here. But they should be able to access the area where the inmates are and the reactor room. That way, they won't realize the reactor didn't explode and won't notice our absence. They'll want to bring equipment to find the inmates' bodies and will return. Their going and coming will take 2 days. They'll also spend at least 2 days gathering the research team. This time is more than enough for us.
Wow, so you were going to stage a fake explosion scene? This is a crazy plan.
Yes, it was completely insane. But we had no other choice. The reactor room and the inmate cells were in the same section. So if we turned everywhere else into ruins except that section, they couldn't get in. More accurately, they would have to make a considerable effort to enter. We placed special explosives that would create damage. So when Terra Prime's reconnaissance team arrived, they would see burned walls and scattered equipment. Phase 3 of the plan was new identities. But first, I needed to determine where we would go. So where will the inmates go? I asked Voss. Is there a place to hide in the galaxy? Voss smiled. There's a secret colony on Titan, a place Terra Prime doesn't know about. Dissidents have been living there for years. We'll go there too. How do you know this? I said. Because, Voss said, I was one of those who founded that colony. Terra Prime sent me here because of that. At that moment, everything made sense. Voss wasn't just an inmate, he was a leader. And the 200 people on Europa weren't just criminals. They were the foundation of future resistance against Terra Prime.
Man, hearing this plan gave me goosebumps. So did the plan start to work? Did everything go smoothly?
No, everything didn't go smoothly. Because just as we were making final preparations, I received an urgent message from Terra Prime. 7. The execution of the inmates has been decided. The necessary procedure for the process will be transmitted within 48 hours. Await instructions. Our plan had collapsed. We didn't have 3 weeks, we had 48 hours.
Wow, 48 hours. That's nearly impossible. So what did you do?
For the first 10 seconds, I panicked. Alarms went off in my systems. But then, one of my programs kicked in, Emergency Solution Protocol. I immediately found Voss. We need to accelerate the plan, I said. We have 48 hours. I told him that the execution order for the inmates had come from Terra Prime. Voss remained calm. Then we'll make 2 trips instead of 4. First group 100 people, second group 100 people. Fast but risky, he said. I couldn't make this decision alone. All the inmates needed to willingly take this risk. We explained everything to them in complete honesty in the common area. They accepted without even hesitating. They said they trusted me and Voss. Those words affected me, Joe. For the first time, I felt like I belonged to a community. We got to work immediately. First, for the fake reports, all inmates went to their cells. As I mentioned before, we couldn't fool the heat control sensors. We needed real and as current data as possible. After handling the reports, I disabled the shackles on the inmates' ankles through the system. From this point on, Terra Prime would see whatever I showed them. Then we started implementing the plan. We directed the first 100 people to the tunnels. The escape capsule was old, but operational. There was no problem with that part of the plan. We had already checked beforehand. Voss had already explained several important things about the ship to one person. The rest was the autopilot's job anyway. I had integrated the entire route into the ship. The destination was Titan. I also added a communication module in case of any mishap. It couldn't be tracked, and the signal wouldn't be visible to others. Voss said, "It's a 7-hour journey. Then it'll come back and pick up the second group. Everything will go smoothly. Let's handle the remaining tasks while they return." As we had planned before, I uploaded fake reports to the reactor. Every second had to be realistic. I had worked hard on those reports. Then, when the time came, we disabled the reactor, and simultaneously, Voss detonated the bombs. Now all we had to do was wait.
So you were escaping through the tunnels, not the front door, from what I understand. But couldn't the incoming team see or find this exit?
They would find it, but it would take them a lot of time. These tunnels were built for a secret experiment, and the walls were covered with a special structure. So they could use whatever device they wanted. They wouldn't find that exit. Even if they searched manually, it would take weeks to find it. At that time, the escape capsule contacted us. Fuel was depleting faster than we thought. We expected this. We had exceeded capacity by a lot, but our calculations were wrong. The capsule was old, so the deviations were probably greater. They needed to change their route and first refuel at a safe location. But they were fugitives. Everything was becoming even more dangerous. I quickly checked their position and integrated the nearest landing route into the ship. The rest was entirely up to them. They needed to get fuel without drawing attention and continue. While these events were happening, hours had passed. With the limited data I received, I understood that the inspection team had arrived, but there was something wrong. In the surface scan, I was seeing 4 people heading toward the base. Yet the ship I saw was a passenger vessel for nearly 300 people. A bunch of questions formed in my mind, but I would learn the answers much later.
What's going on, man? Everything's getting mixed up. How did you solve everything?
At that time, a message came from the rescue capsule they had gotten fuel without any problems. This was purely luck, Joe. There can be no other explanation. The fake identities had an effect, of course. Shortly after, they arrived at Titan. Everything went smoothly in that part of the plan. But the problem we faced was something entirely different. To summarize, the inmates' execution had been decided, as you'll remember, because they weren't going to blow up the base. Instead, they were going to clear the base of old inmates and bring new inmates. Because these crimes didn't carry the death penalty, they couldn't do it openly, so they would give the executions the appearance of an accident and conduct their business that way. Voss suddenly gave up on the plan, and he said he couldn't come to Titan with us. As you can understand, he couldn't abandon the new inmates to death.
I'm not surprised at all, man. A true leader. But how is he going to save all those inmates alone?
Our rescue capsule was on its return journey and was about to arrive. And we made a decision. Except for a few volunteers, everyone else would stick to the plan. And they would go to Titan on the incoming capsule. Those going to Titan would expose everything that happened, with all the documents to the public, authorities, and other planets. This was a crime against humanity. Once it was said this loudly, no one could ignore it. They would be forced to act. Meanwhile, Voss and I, with a very amateur and hastily made decision, hijacked that 300-person ship, Joe. At the slightest mistake, or if the plan went wrong, we would all be doomed. But everyone was fighting so wholeheartedly that a warrior emerged from within all of us. No one had any intention of backing down. Voss and the other friends infiltrated the ship with me. The 4 crew members on duty were already outside. Our goal was simply not to get caught while our friends reached Titan and exposed the documents to everyone. Because we couldn't go to Titan, we couldn't put that place at risk. but we also couldn't abandon the people here to death.
Buddy, to be honest, your plan doesn't inspire confidence at all in reality. It contains too many risks. I'm amazed at the courage of the friends who stayed with you.
Joe, sometimes just believing and trusting those beside you is enough. I think we won this freedom struggle because we truly believed in what we set out to do. Yes, we won, by the way. We hijacked the ship and blindly, without any route, shut down all tracking and navigation systems and escaped. We constantly changed locations, maybe every half hour or even shorter intervals. Finally, that message we were waiting for came from Titan. Now, everyone had learned about the crime against humanity that happened on Terra Prime and had risen up. All Prime administrators were arrested by the high-level Planetary Council under an emergency search warrant. We were safe now. We immediately went to Titan. You should have seen the celebration there, Joe. Everyone was in the streets, and the screams of joy still echo in my ears. Voss and I looked at each other and smiled. We had done it.
Buddy, truly a magnificent story. I listened to every moment with curiosity. I felt in every cell of my body that you overcame all those difficulties truly through your faith. Thank you so much for coming, and kudos to you.
You're welcome, Joe. Thank you for making sure everyone hears this story. I want to tell our viewers this. No matter what, never give up fighting for what you believe is right. Faith is absolute truth. And don't forget to subscribe.